What's up, my squishy people? Neo Beowulf X here, and this is going to be my first game review, and today we're going to be reviewing Vaporum. First of all, thank you to the guys at FatBotGames for sending me the key, and it's a pleasure to be able to do my first review. First of all, we start off Vaporum, and there are a slew of options. It's a grid-based move-by-move type game. So you have old school mode, in case you like the pencil and paper, days of making your own map. Old school mode will turn the map off for you. You have elite mode, which disables your manual saving. There's also a slew of other options, like head bob, turn off the time freeze and things of that nature. So the game starts off, you're a man with no memory. You crawl your butt out of the ocean, and you stand before what apparently is, if you ask me, it's a Reaper from Mass Effect. It looks and it sounds like a Reaper. So this game essentially is you're exploring the insides of a Reaper, which I mean is pretty cool. At one point, I honestly thought it was going to address me as Shepard. Vaporum doesn't really have any of your traditional classes, but when you start the game, you do get to pick between 4 different rigs. One is clearly a tank, one is clearly for combat, one might be attributed to like an assassin and a rogue. But choosing your rig doesn't necessarily impact how you can play your character. You do find plenty of armor and abilities, and there are skills that you can unlock as well that let you play the game pretty much however you want. Moving on to skills, there are plenty to choose from. However, you really want to plan what skills you want to put the points into, because there are no respecs in Vaporum, and you really want to pick a few of the trees and stick to them. You don't want to be all over the place, because the benefits for the later perks are very powerful. One thing I really loved about Vaporum was the exploration. It's it calls itself a steampunk dungeon crawler, and I definitely got that. Everything from the aesthetic, to the creatures, to the humanoids, to the music. It was very clearly steampunk themed, and I enjoyed it greatly. Vaporum does have some moments where the music is very epic and very enjoyable, but most of the time you'll be wandering through the dungeons with no music at all, and you just have the background sounds. Next up is the puzzles. I got stuck on quite a few of the puzzles, and either had to rack my brain trying to find the answer or just look it up. But for the most part, the puzzles were pretty manageable, pretty straightforward. You have everything from lever puzzles, button puzzles, panel puzzles, buttons and switches in different room puzzles. I did enjoy the variety of the enemies in Vaporum. They definitely were steampunk. They definitely gave me a challenge, and I greatly enjoyed the variety of them. You have everything from humanoid enemies, bug enemies, robot enemies, and everything you can imagine steampunk as far as enemies are concerned. The inventory is pretty good for Vaporum. I never really ran into any issues. The only thing I did run into is your inventory does get a bit full. And me being the game hoarder that I am always hesitant to try and get rid of stuff. I always think I need it later. But it's pretty obvious to tell what you need and what you don't. So you can always drop it in a nearby chest. And as far as I know, you can always go back and get it if you need it. So no worries with inventory. The lore of Vaporum is pretty rich. You find audio logs all throughout the game. There's plenty of notes, and the devs even have a blog that, is pretty rich in the lore as well. Overall, I give Vaporum a 7 out of 10. It was a good game, and I am definitely going to play it again. It has a lot of replayability, especially if you want to try it on the different modes, like old school mode or elite mode, or if you want to try and get the speedrun trophy. It's definitely going to put a lot of hours in there for trophy and achievement hunters.
Now, but I'm not sure that's
I clocked in at 7 hours, I think, and right now on PS4, this game's going for $24.99, I believe. And there'll be plenty of opportunities, I'm sure, to catch it on sale as well. So if you see Vaporum available, make sure you pick it up. It is worth a buy, and they do have expansions and DLC planned for it. Now, I don't know what that entails, but I was told that there is a plan for DLC. Now, what would I like to see out of Vaporum? First of all, the enemies don't respawn in the game. Now, me personally, I am definitely a heavy RPGer, and if there's one thing I like, it's leveling up. So if there's one big suggestion I can throw out there, I would like to see the enemies respawn, even if it's just from you going floor to floor. I'd really like to dive into the skill trees, because the current layout only gives you an option to learn and max out a few of the tree lines. Maybe that's intentional, I don't know, but definitely respawning enemies would be a huge bonus. Next, this game is screaming for a map maker and an editor. I would love to make my own floors for Vaporum. That would be sweet. Last, I don't know if it's in the realm of possibility, but I would definitely like a few roguelike elements for this game. Maybe some randomized enemies. I don't know how it would work for the puzzle, but you know, even if it's just an endless mode where I can just go down deeper and deeper and just, like I said, level up. That's what I enjoy doing. So that about sums it up. Like I said, 7 out of 10. Totally worth a buy. And again, thank you FatBotGames for the key. I greatly appreciate it. It gave me the opportunity to get off my butt and finally start doing some game reviews. I hope you enjoyed my squishy people, and we'll see you next time for the next game review.